Alright, hi guys, I'm here with Miss Lucky and she's going to help me answer some questions based upon the color purple. So my first question for you, Miss, is what would you say about racism?
It exists.
Okay. Do you think we could stop it? Do you think there's a way we could do anything?
Um, yeah, but I think would have to be stopped at the highest level, at the government level. If you look at when you fill out applications, they always ask, what's your race, what's your religion, what's your ethnic background. If you asking those questions, then that means that race makes a difference. So to me, it means that we got to stop it at the highest level. You can't start at the bottom teaching kids to love everybody because everybody is different. Everybody not going to love everybody, but the government is the one that's making a difference because you start out from, putting people in groups.
Okay. Um, what about sexism? What do you think about that? I mean, do you think women should have the same opportunities as men? Do you think they should be equal pay? I mean, what do you think on that?
Yeah, it should be no difference. Women should have the same opportunities that men have. If you're qualified, you're educated, you have all the abilities to do whatever the job is, then it shouldn't be a difference.
Okay. What about domestic violence? Like just in general, what do you think about it?
I think it comes to educating people that domestic violence exists not only with women but men too. There's a lot of men that's being abused as well, and it comes down to the education. It comes down to um, people having self pride within themselves. It starts off with kids not really liking themselves because if you really loved yourself, you're not going to allow anybody to hit you, and that's one of the biggest issues I think with violence, and it becomes something like a codependent that if you allow this person to keep hitting you, which they usually say, okay, I'm sorry, I won't do it again, but it's the fact that there's a need there. It's that dependence that if you believed in yourself and was strong on yourself, it would eliminate that. So to me, it all goes back down to that education, and it's just so happened that a man education is the most important. If we were educating our children about racism, sexism, all the things that you're talking about, then we would actually have a better world because it starts with if we get the kids from K to 8 to understand what these things are and understand that nobody's going to like you. In school, sometimes when a kid will say, well, I don't like you, you're fat. And then the kid gets in trouble and say, well, you're being mean. But in fact, if the kid is fat, the kid is fat. So instead of being mad at the kid, but actually talking about that, you can't stop anybody from saying anything. But what you do is you build that person up to accept that whether you big, small, black, white, love yourself, and then what other people say around you won't matter.
Okay. And what do you think about rape? I know it's a hard topic to talk about, but I mean, people are obviously going to be traumatized by it. And I mean, do you think they could ever find it to forgive this person who did this to them as a child? Or
That's kind of tough. I don't think you will. They may find it hard to forgive, but they're not going to forget.
yeah.
And is it going to change the whole course of their life? Yeah. Even I won't can't say that they'll get over it because you'll never get over it. But it's just something they have to learn to live with. It almost becomes like a disability that they got to learn to live with that and learn to be happy despite of it, and not let that continue to change the course of
Let
their
you
life.
down. Okay. And what about the economic class? Do you think just because someone is higher than you, they're better than you? Do you believe that people are above the law? Or
No, no. I mean, and even though it in the world they do look at the socioeconomic status, and people that make more money look down at people that don't make as much money. They said sometimes they have the same choices that other people have, but sometimes it's not always the case.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just a believer of you treat everybody how you want to be treated. It doesn't matter how much money you have in the bank or what kind of job you have. It's all about the human race of just treating people with kindness. Treat people how you want to be treated.
Okay. And what do you think about traditions? So, like, you know, like in the book that I read, there was like a tradition that in Africa, what they do is scar themselves to identify themselves. So, something like that. Well, do you think there's like a limit to where these need to stop, or do you think, you know what, it's them, they could do whatever they want? Or
Yeah, I do think some of the traditions need to change with the times, because there are traditions where they do the scarring of the face. With women, they cut their female parts. Some of them sew them up, and just all kinds of things that I think needs to change. That maybe years and years ago that might have been the norm, but when you're looking at the way society is today, I think some of those traditions need to stop.
okay. Well, those are all the questions I had for you. Thank you for taking the time to answer them.
Oh, you're very welcome.